Hello, everyone, and welcome to the course. My name is Jefferson Nunn. The course is being recorded, and we are still getting started, and people are joining. People may join at any time. You may notice that your microphone and camera is muted. That's by design because this is a large presentation that's being recorded. Um, so Tola and I are your presenters, if you will. Tola will be working in the background and may share some things in chat um, and help, he'll help me to moderate any kind of questions that come up and so forth. So we might as well kind of just get started here. Welcome to the AI Accelerated Development course for June 2025. This course is being offered for free. As time goes on, I sincerely hope to have this as a certified course. This is something I'm currently working on with a few of my partners. But at the very least, between today and tomorrow, if you go through the course, there's an opportunity to take a test. And on the conclusion of the test, we'll go through the test results and make offers from that point. So first, let me just present, myself and some housekeeping. So first, please submit any questions that you have in the chat. Keep in mind it is a moderated chat. If you have a question and this was recorded, feel free to submit it in either Discord or WhatsApp. We welcome any and all questions. We encourage open discussion. This is a learning environment. There will never be such thing as a wrong question, just a wrong answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find the answer. This is such a new field that many of us don't know what we don't know. It's a brand new field. Next up, if you are not on Discord already, please join Discord. Tomorrow we'll announce the test procedures. Who may join Discord in the test and this presentation? Anybody. In fact, please invite your friends, your neighbors, your enemies, your anybody. This is an open course. This is an opportunity to go beyond what's actually now going on in this world. This is a rare opportunity for anybody and everybody. So last but not least, the May cohort is already in Discord or WhatsApp. They're with us. And the June cohort, I'm going to call it group. That's such a hard word. But the June group will be open for anybody that would like to join, that we will make an offer to. All right. So there's between 5 and 10 positions that are open right now. And as the month goes on, we may add one or two more. It depends on who we find. That's the key to this whole thing. We're trying to find people that are good, that their skills match, that their AI training ability matches the environment in which we now find all of ourselves in. Every month, this presentation will be updated and refreshed and presented again. Based on what I found out in the last 30 days or so, there's more opportunities coming, not less, a lot more opportunities. So our hiring will expand, our capabilities will expand, your opportunities will expand. This presentation, again, is being recorded. You'll be able to access the recording at the end of this. Most of what I'm presenting and talking about here has happened in the last 6 months. It is that fast. In fact, I've just refreshed this presentation for what's happened in the last 30 days. So change is happening quite rapidly. The entire industry is under massive development, and what I'm saying today may in fact change tomorrow.
Jeff, sorry, just one
Um,
moment. Jeff,
oh,
sorry.
yes.
Some
You're
people
not
are
able
in
to
the
admit?
yes.
All
Some
right, I'll
people have been
pause this
waiting.
presentation to figure out what's going on here.
So sorry.
No
Trying to
worries,
look
no
more.
worries. Give me a moment to get my screen back up. There we go. Yeah, because I
Chat.
made you presenter. Yeah, I just submitted everybody in the lobby.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry for the delay. Not quite sure why. I think Tola is because you used a different email address when you joined in than the one I used to invite you. So I don't have a way to elevate your permissions, I think. But let me see if I can change to meeting settings.
Okay. Yeah, and the chat bot is disabled as well. Box rather.
Yeah, give me a moment.
Uh, Welcome everyone. Audio and video has been disabled to control the environment and to avoid unnecessary um disturbance when the session is
So
going on.
chat's working. I see that.
Okay.
And Tola, can you try to emit from the lobby? That should now be permitted.
Okay. Sorry, just one moment. I'm here to find the login.
Yeah, if you view the lobby, you should be able to emit. Here, I'll just go ahead and emit these. If there's any
Okay.
more, then we'll continue on.
Okay.
But this
So
should be working now.
yeah,
Sorry
but
for the tech troubles. We'll continue to try to evolve. Uh, and away we go. All right. So, as I was saying, most of what's happened recently. And just like I will later today publish a list of links, and I would encourage you guys to monitor those URLs for any kind of news that are going on in the industry. Um, and look for the links throughout this presentation, or at the very least, the names of the tools or whatnot. Try it, use it, experiment, create something. Creativity is one of the keys to this thing. Um, so one thing I would like to ask y'all to do, I'd like to find out a little bit more about y'all, and I would like for y'all to find out a little bit more about me. I'll tell you about myself in just a moment. Um, and I'm trying to figure out how to share a link here. Give me a second. So let me go back to this and hit escape. And copy this link. And I'll drop this into chat right now. So I would encourage you to fill out this form. It's just a getting to know you form. And away we go. So let me get the sharing back on.
yeah, Jeff, so the chat box is I think disabled.
Yeah, no, people are saying good to hear everyone.
Okay. I can't see the chat. Sorry, who?
Click, if you click the chat box,
Uh-huh.
right,
Yep. I don't know
it should
why.
be there.
Yeah, I still can't access the chat. So,
Um,
yeah,
check
can't.
what other settings, but the settings currently for chat is open.
Chat conversation. Yeah, people are joining. I can't see
Yeah,
chat.
try. try again. I just refreshed it.
Yep.
Chat has been turned on for this meeting. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I think I can see it now.
All right. And back on. And again, this presentation is being recorded. So we will publish the recording at the end of this. All right. So about me for a bit. Um, I started my career actually quite a while ago in 96 is when I started working professionally. And in 2003, well, before that, I joined Vanco.com, but in 2003, that company sold for 50 million. They make a variety of household products like Showtime rotisserie ovens and, the Pocket Fisherman, of course, the Chop-O-Matic, all the early infomercial direct response television advertising. I was heavily involved in the technology success of that company. After that, I joined a company, and that company sold for 800 million. It was called Go Wireless. They were a Verizon premium retailer. That is to say, they sold cell phones and cell phone plans and cell phone accessories and cell phone insurance. So I built the entire technology platform for the company with the team. Well, we started out with a team of just 5 of us. We ended up with a team of about 150 at the end in the IT department. Um, and I was instrumental in writing a lot of procedures and processes and developing a lot of code, if you will, to try to be intelligent about cell phone sales and things like that. Now, and I've worked for a variety of other Fortune 500 companies. And honestly, again, today I could probably go back and work for another Fortune 500 company, if I wanted to. But what I'm seeing here with Heimdall is a tremendous, tremendous opportunity for all of us within the realm of AI and technology and the things that we need to have done. Without further ado, I'd like to go on and talk a little bit more about what we're here today to learn about, which is AI accelerated development and AI accelerated technology. Um, Brief history is always good. I will not go on for a very long period of time about the history because, like you, I find history to be somewhat boring, usually because of how they present it. There's a lot of, individuals' names that you may have no idea about and dates, which is like, okay, so that was like 100 years ago. Now what? Well, so I'll be quick. Alan Turing wrote a paper. I would encourage y'all to read it if you want to. If not, it's not necessary. It's called Computing Machinery and Intelligence. It's actually quite interesting. It's also a little bit primitive. But what you find from that paper, as many people did, is that there's some interesting correlations about how stuff works, the intersection, if you will, of mathematics and how intelligence works. In the 80s and 90s, and actually I was there when, during the 90s, throughout the 2000s, using expert systems. Well, that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. That simply meant we put a lot of intelligence into code. We use a lot of tricks to map, words, a singular word, right? For example, and, right? We can map that singular word to a lot of other types of words that are similar. Um, and you end up with, for example, a SQL query that you can use, for example, near, right? Or something like that. Fuzzy logic for the whole thing, right? So later after that, AI really started to take off in the early stages of AI. AlphaGo, for example, made its prominence in being the first machine to beat a human in gaming, if you will. And since that time, intelligence has only evolved to where we are now. Within the last 12 months, Microsoft did their Build conference. Google did their conferences and so forth. I will try to play, some of these videos, and I apologize if it did not work, but we will do our best to get through it.
I think the video is on mute.
Yeah, if there's no audio, that's fine as long as you can
Oh,
see the video.
oh.
Um, the point of this is that this was a game-changing announcement by GPT, by Microsoft, in announcing how effective AI was then and now, if you will. So there's another interesting announce, and that would be this one, the OpenAI DevDay. And of course, Google has their Gemini, and I'll be covering the Google one in just a bit. I'm going to try, wish me luck on this trying, this other tool that we have for playing YouTube videos. So hopefully this works. It says it's loading. There we
Jeff, while
go.
it's loading, I still can't see the chat. I don't know why. Jeff, are you presenting? It's showing an error from my end.
All right. For whatever reason, this may not be playing for some people. But what's being covered, um, and I'm actually trying to stop the video here. There we go. What's being covered is, one of the OpenAI developers who is working with O1, specifically within the coding environment. For whatever reason, like I said, um, this isn't working. So I think the next time we do this presentation, there's another tool that's much better at doing video and sharing and so forth. So we'll use that tool next time. But in any case, I would encourage you guys to watch this particular video at about 7 minutes in. Um, yes, at about 7 minutes in, the OpenAI Dev Day, about 7 minutes in. Check out this video. All right. It's really, really interesting about how um, OpenAI is using coding. And the important thing about what he said was that they use the tool, they provide feedback to the tool, and then the tool gets better. That is to say that they're iteratively using AI to improve itself. And they have been since last year, and that was '01. We're now up to '04. Um, there's another interesting computer vision, in a way, yes, but it's computer vision. Again, there's no audio on this particular presentation, all right? But, don't worry about the audio. But this Redditor applied to 1,000 jobs in a 24-hour period. And just by using an AI bot, all right, examining the job, creating a specific resume for that job, and then submitting for that job. Um, so this was all, just essentially automated job hiring. Already, on the flip side, job recruiters are, now kind of blocking some of that. And of course, with that, they're even blocking more humans. So it's kind of hilarious that, you know, that's happening, but that's happening. There's also this other one I found rather interesting. Um, in 5 years, programming will look completely different. This is a CEO of AnySphere. And then there was, where is it here? There. Again, there's no audio. Don't worry about it. But I'm going to share this link in just a minute. But he talks about how do you find a great engineer in the age of AI. And keep in mind, this is somebody, from Cursor, right? So again, I'll try to share this link. You guys can watch it, and we'll go from there. So it's really interesting about how stuff is changing quite rapidly, and how hiring CEOs are changing, what they do. Dear. Well, one slide didn't quite make it. Actually, quite a few slides didn't make it. What happened here? There's a bit about transformation. I'll try to find those links. Somehow they got corrupted. But there was another video. I'll have to find the video after this course about how AI is transforming our entire industry across the board, soup to nuts. It was a very fascinating video. There's some myths out there, and I'd like to, either prove or dispel them. The current way of doing what we are all have been doing, the way that you learned how to do what you do in college, it is gone. Though it disappeared. It died. It's what I'm trying to tell you. A year ago, it died. All right, and we're all seeing the evidence of that. It does not mean that there's nothing for us to do. It just simply means that the way that we were doing what we did has now changed. Um, so what's interesting to see is how they say, these things have changed. And again, I'll include these links in the chat. There is no audio on this particular video, all right, being shared, but it's really interesting about how life has been changing so rapidly in this age of AI. So Sam Altman, and presenting even to Congress and so forth, and other places have been saying that the AI jobs, AI will be taking a lot of the existing jobs that we're doing right now. And AI could in fact influence, if you will, hiring decisions coming down the line. So um, here's that video for y'all to take a look at it. Each of these videos, I would encourage y'all to take a look at, watch it through from beginning to end. I try to select some of the best videos from hundreds of videos that are out there. All right. Here's another one. The AI revolution, I love the way he said this, would be a wave of 1 billion AI immigrants. You know, they'll be coming at the speed of light. Um, they may seek power, and I'll talk to that a little bit, and no one's talking about it. Keep in mind, some of these people tend to be a little extreme in how they present the information. Um, it doesn't mean that the information is bad. It just means that the information may be very far to the right. So I would encourage you guys to exercise good discrimination on how to make sure you don't follow a path of an extremist, so to speak, right? So try to take what these people are saying with there's an old saying, take it with a grain of salt, right? That means don't just take everything that they say as the literal truth. That said, um, there is some truth to what these people are saying. For example, this one, this is the mechanized CEO. And for whatever reason, it didn't quite take. Let me just try it again. There we go. And he's saying he's making boring video games. I love the way he says it, where he's training engineers, lawyers, accountants within this video game world. He's setting these AI agents to, you know, live their entire lives in these worlds. In other words, think about it this way. He's making a matrix for AI. He's literally making a matrix for AI. I found that's just so fascinating. And I mean, this is probably true what he said here. We want to get to a fully automated economy, and he wants to make it happen as fast as possible. So this is another great video that I'll just drop into chat right here. Um, and I apologize if you guys cannot hear. Some people are saying the audio is kind of low. Well, it's being recorded. I'm on Gigabit. I'm doing the best I can with, what we have here. You'll be able to watch the recording, and that way it'll buffer and go from there. This one is where we're going to get into the most interesting part of it. And this is the one where human CEOs are going to be essentially replaced. And to be fair, I find a lot of CEOs to be sometimes completely worthless. And I find that we will see a wave of intelligence like we haven't seen before. So, like I was about to say, there is this great, I get the right screen up here. There's this great site now for how you can see how well a model does on being a CEO, all right, across all the different categories of being a CEO. So, for example, how well does a CEO do at strategy, at management, at communicating, at managing finances, at ethics compliance, and managing risk, and at even innovating, improving? All right. Now, if you look at this chart and you go, well, okay, this is all well and good, and OpenAI o4 is scoring a 130 overall. How does that compare to humans? Humans is over here. We're that uncolorful gray box in this chart. Versus over here, the best o4 is, even some of the worst open source models, like Llama, which has been around for quite a while. All right, down here, Llama 3.2, and not even the full model. We're talking the tiniest model, 3B. You can run 3B on just about anything. All right, they have run this on an iPhone, all right, and an Android. All right, you can run that on an Android, all right, and it is 20% better than a human CEO across the board. Let that sink in. Because for the most part, a CEO, a CFO, even to a degree, a CFO, right? A COO to a degree, all they do is communicate. Well, what does GPT do? What does Llama do? It just communicates. All right. So this leads to the next fascinating topic. Um, and I call this democratized intelligence. That's where we find ourselves today. It used to be that the smartest people on the planet were inaccessible for the sheer reason that so many people wanted their attention and wanted their time. All right. And as we all know, time is the most valuable thing we have in this realm. All right. It's actually not money. We think of it as money, but it's really time. All right. We can never get the time back that we're spending even today. So we want to make sure that our time is held in value. All right. So with that, how you spend that time is important, right? And then the question becomes, well, where do we spend that time? Imagine, if you will, 1 million people, and it sucks. It's probably happening today, and I don't like it. Nobody likes it, right? But let's say they're in poverty, and I'm hoping, I'm giving them that chance that at least they can eat, for example, rice, and be able to drink water, and to have some kind of shelter over their head. And I pray to God that that's the truth, because I know there's people right now in way worse circumstance than that. All right, and it's heartbreaking. I don't like it. All right, nobody should like it. But let's imagine a world that's like this, where 1 million people are just like this. Compare the two. If you have one group that has no AI access at all, and you have another group where even barely 10% of them, you can even constrain this to 5% of them. It doesn't matter how you constrain it. But if you have 1 million people in poverty with AI guidance, their lives would be better than the first group. It's an interesting thought exercise, all right? And I would encourage you to actually go back to that exercise and to use that as a model to go from here to where we want to go. Because what comes out of that is where we're going. It's called true rapid development at scale. I don't know how else to say this other than, whatever we do, the things that we do, how we do it, will massively and infinitely scale. There is no limitation of wealth within this realm, and it's only going to get better. All right, we're going to see massive transformation of problem areas. What do I mean by that? Food, water, clothing, shelter, um, everything. It's going to evolve dramatically. And I would encourage you guys to be along with us for this ride, because it will happen. And what I mean by unlimited access to resources, a lot of times we find ourselves with the inability to find, in a sense, what we're looking for. All right. And I'll go back to how AI works just for a moment. All right. It's a very interesting realm of mathematics, but like one of the key areas is what they call matrix multiplication. And there's a whole rabbit hole over there. But The long and short of it is they've taken the entire internet and actually the entirety of human knowledge and they crammed it into this, what they call a large language model, right? Um, and so now, anytime you ask it for a way through something, it will find a way through it for all of us. All right. So somebody said to me a long time ago, and it still holds true today, if you want better answers, you want to ask better questions. Through this course, I'm going to try to help you ask those better questions. And hopefully together, we can find a better way of going through all of this. Now, I've broken this up into a few different modules because we have a few different groups of people that we're looking for. That said, I wouldn't say to anybody in this room that this module doesn't apply to me. All right? If you're saying that, you're not thinking right. All right? It's not that you're not going to be doing what's in here. You may be doing something completely different. But if you're aware of what's here, it will only help you in, working with others or even working with AI in that way. All right? Again, I'll say it is us that not only gets the better answers from AI, but it's also us, here's the key, that can drive the AI for all of us to be better. All right? So, starting off with, there's a great, now better than Root Code. The last time I did this course, it was Root Code. Now, it's KiloCode. Next month, who knows? It could be something different. But stuff is coming out better and better all the time. What's really kind of cool about using something like KiloCode is that you don't necessarily have to know how to code. That said, it is absolutely 100% better if you understand how coding works. All right. And the next time we do this, I'm actually going to be having a course in a very lightweight course and how coding works, because there's a bunch of people that really could use a little bit of help in that world. If you're coming at KiloCode and you don't know how coding works, well, at least ask it the right questions. Like, for example, I want to build a website that captures information into a form and emails it to me, for example. And you send it off, all right? And what's really cool, at least with KiloCode, is it starts to ask, like I said, the better questions. What are we doing? What are we capturing? Because as we know, users tend to be, it's like, what are we doing, right? It's just a simple contact form, name and address for attendees of a course. I want to email them after the course. And I should say name and email address. Right? And he's going, well, here's how you build it. All right? So this is already better than what was happening a month ago. And so the reason why I'm trying to show and talk about this is that every month that goes by, it gets better and better and better. So if you start now and using something like this, then what you do next will get better. There's another part of this course, I'll tell you guys a lot more about it tomorrow, that covers something called MCP, which is a way to connect to something that you already have, existing projects, because that happens a lot. There'll be an existing project that you're getting into, somebody gives you a website or somebody gives you a mobile app and it's not working very well. I think we all get that all the time, right? But using KiloCode, using Actually Grok, for example, is really great about debugging, for example. So if you run into an environment where it's just simply not very good, Grok sometimes is very good about understanding why it's all broken, right? Next up, um, there's you get into a project and it's simply massive scale. It is true. If you try to give a very large project, call it like, I don't know, 100,000 lines of code, something absolutely ridiculous, right? Um, if it's that large and you're trying to manage it without MCP, it's not going to work very well, right? What you want to do within MCP is to break up the entire project into modules and then allow the AI to interact with each of the modularized component of that project. And there's a way that you can present the entire project to AI to help you modularize it even, so that if you're getting into it for the first time yourself, and it's overwhelming, you pair code or you pair with the AI as you go through the project. As you go through the file structure and you go, well, imagine this is a huge project. You go, tell me about what's in helpers, right? Here, let's just start this right here. What is the helpers folder? Right? And there you go. It tells you all about it. So I find it fascinating, actually, that the people that are building KiloCode, RuCode, Klein, all of these different coding agents, they're all doing this. They're using the coding tools that they have built to make the coding tools better. All right. So what's out there today, right now, is going to be the worst coding tool with the worst AI that you will ever use in your life. And if you go, well, I don't have money, I'm with you. A lot of us don't have a lot of money. Actually, a lot of people are spending a lot of money that they don't need to be spending on something like Claude. When DeepSeek, this whole time I've been using DeepSeek, it's free. It's literally free. I haven't spent the dime. You have to load it one time with $5, but then after that, it's free. All right. Um, and that wasn't even the current version. All right. This was the original version. That's how far along that they've come. That you can use KiloCode with some higher level intelligence built within this coding tool that uses DeepSeek free to make everything that you see here. All right. So it doesn't mean that you can get away with free forever, but it does mean that you can do a lot of things without spending a dime. And so that's what I'm trying to teach y'all is that you can start with free, for example, and then work your way up to something like Grok when you're having a very hard time. Or you only use Claude or OpenAI, right, O4, when you have something that's extraordinarily complex. But if you're doing something as simple as a contact form, you can use the free models and save a lot of money. All right. So that was just a brief introduction. Pair coding. I will be going into a little bit more detail about that tomorrow. I want to kind of change gears a little bit to some of these other tools like Blackbox and Manus. And what I'm trying to present is that a little bit more about how they work. You can use Blackbox in conjunction with KiloCode. And if I remember, um, there was a way, and I didn't quite, get this set up ahead of time, but there was a way that you could use Blackbox within KiloCode. But for now, I'm going to head over to extensions and add Blackbox. And the reason why I mentioned this is because we are using um, Blackbox within our enterprise, and we're probably going to be using a lot more of some of these tools. it doesn't mean that we only or exclusively use black box, but we do use black box because it has access to all the different models, plus their own models. That's not quite what I was looking for. They have a lot of different. Well, I'm not logged in, but I'll come back to this. All right. So there's a lot of different models within this that has actually been tuned a little bit with their prompts, and they revise their prompts all the time. Um, when you're using some of the ones like Claude or OpenAI, right, or even Grok, um, that company makes changes, and so when you try to use it today versus when you try to use it tomorrow, tomorrow might be all messed up. So that's what I was trying to present. And so it's like, it's nice if you can use something like Blackbox when Open Router is just ineffective, right? If you're an Open Router and you're trying to do something with Claude, and Claude just is going different today than what it did yesterday, if you hop over to Blackbox, sometimes it's better. I'm going to demo something next in Manus that I find actually absolutely fascinating. So Manus is where we're heading more than anything. You can give Manus a task and it will do it. Now, most people don't use Manus correctly. Most people use Manus to try to do the entire thing for them with the bare minimum prompt. Like, can you make a website for me? And that's it. Well, sure, but even if you do the Q&A, it's not going to come out very good. All right. Where Manus is actually really good is in this realm I call research. Right. For example, I am working with Infobip to create a voice and texting platform. I want to integrate this into an application that presents a UI to the user to send and receive text messages and to make and receive phone calls. Can you tell me the best way to integrate my application being built in C# as a middleware layer to integrate with Infobip and to provide a way to use voice in a browser to make and receive phone calls and to make and receive MMS text messages. And you send that off. All right? So this kind of heavy duty research, right, which normally how we would do this is within the software development world, is we would try to hire on an architect. And by the way, architects, this is what I mean about democratized intelligence. Architects are very, very, very hard to find a good one, all right? Because it requires such a diversity of skills, right? It's more than just somebody that can write code. It's more than just somebody that can read an API and understand how it works. It's somebody that's had a lot of experience with a lot of different code bases and a lot of different projects. And, you see what I'm saying? So by the time somebody gets through all that, keep in mind the industry has already changed. You see what I'm saying? Because that knowledge has already changed, by the time you find somebody that's good, maybe their knowledge is already obsolete. Or maybe you find somebody that's really good at coding, but just hasn't kept up with the current standards, right? You don't have to worry about any of that with, AI. And so you can use something like Manus. Now I realize Manus is paid, and I realize BlackRock is paid, and I'm presenting these things for a reason. There's something called LibreChat. All right. While this is thinking, and you can see it's really thinking, it's going through a lot of detail. We'll come back to this, right? So while I was thinking, there's something called LibreChat, all right? Um, and tomorrow I'll have this fired up and ready for you guys. Um, but I've actually set this up on our own servers even. And again, it's called LibreChat. It's a way of presenting a chat box, agents even, and more. Oh dear, which one of these is it? Eh, give me a moment here. Ah, dear. I'll just do this. All right, so here's their website, right? And it's a way that you can have your own chat interface with your own private AI. All right, it's all open source, by the way. And the neat thing is, you can do anything. You can have your own agents, your own Manus, working locally with your own GitLab, right? That's private. Um, your own set of private AIs. Remember back when we were talking about CEOs? You can plug your CEO agent within this entire framework to help you build your entire project. Fascinating, right? This is where we're headed. All right. So again, we'll circle back to this. Let's head back to our presentation. You go, well, okay, but it sucks at creating graphics. I agree with you that sometimes the graphics that comes out of this is bad. We still need human graphics creators. Maybe one of these days they will fix text, in graphics and AI. There are some good ones that are out there. For example, Merlin has a great interface for at least creating something as basic as the logo. So we'll head over to this. So, and the price is actually not that bad. It's like all but free. So within Merlin, you can have it like, for example, can you create a green login button? Question mark. And, well, can you create a green login button? That is 250 pixels by 250 pixels. Right? Something random. Let's see what this does. And so where it used to be that we only had just a pure chat interface and we had to do a bunch of copy and pasting and everything else. Now, if you use the GitHub, connection in here, all this stuff that it's creating right here, it'll just drop right into, see? It'll just drop right into your website, just like this. So it's only going to get better. There's also something called Work, which has been a really interesting thing for building mobile apps very quickly. And you do not need to be a full-on graphic developer, or I should say a React Native developer, to be able to create a very nice-looking mobile app. Let's see if I can find here work examples. Because I'm actually kind of logged in. But there was here, video. So you get towards the end, and you can see him just going through. They have this neat thing where you can scan the QR code and watch as he's creating the app, right? As you're creating the app, you can watch how it's going. The nice thing about videos like this one is he kind of goes to stuff that's already standards for making some of these apps, right? Like how do you make a login button? You don't have to remake the login button. He also kind of shows how do you publish it to test flight. But yeah, all the different fields, it'll just jam right through. Just kind of all done for you. Where it falls apart is it doesn't necessarily connect up to APIs, and so this is where it gets still a little bit interesting. You need your API developer to work with, your front end developer that made this app to hook it up and then get it out. And it's also only mobile. It's not yet mobile and web. So I'll just switch back to this for a minute. One of the cool things about Manus, and you can do this with LibreChat, is you can see what it's doing. You can kind of see how it's going through. They give you this little video thing as well, which is fascinating. So you can see how it's thinking and reading and what it's creating. This is like how it's thinking about the different API capabilities and web RTC capabilities and so forth. I just find it fascinating. So head back to our deck. Um, this one's kind of funny. I opened it with this in the beginning, and I will open with it again here. We literally have AI inception going on. If you are an AI ML developer, and we are actually looking for a good one, to even go through some of the NVIDIA training, because to stack your own AI is actually getting easier and easier. So, and that is to say, you can take an AI, a pre-existing AI, add some additional logic into it, and away you go. I don't have the link in here, I think, but I will come back to this. Before you go and try to build your own AI or any kind of AI app, I would encourage you to check out. There's an AI for that. But I do want to show you guys a little bit under the hood about what it means to run an AI. Running an AI is actually very different than you might expect. And I keep adding an S and there's no S in run pod. Funny thing is you can use more than one pod. So what I want to do is to kind of show you a little bit under the hood of how this works. And so they have a lot of different ways that you can run your own AI, including my favorite, bare metal. Bare metal means they just give you the hardware. You have to load everything on top of it, which also includes the actual way that AI runs, all right? But they have another way that you can do it where they give you it's like Docker, right? Actually, they use Docker. And I think they modified Docker actually to where you can use something like an H100, which is not the top of the line. The current top of the line is the B200 video cards. These are all video cards by NVIDIA, right? The B200s are wicked expensive, by the way. Do not recommend. They are very fast, but it's very expensive. But the H100s, for example, are only $2 an hour. And I say only because if you consider how much time we're saving, remember my initial, theory is that time is the most important thing that we have. So if you run something for $2 an hour and you're saving thousands of dollars an hour of time, right? That's what's important. If you're in the AI or even the IT space, it's worth learning about how to start these things up. For the rest of y'all, I'm just going to simply show you what this looks like. It doesn't necessarily mean you guys need to know it in detail. But when you run your own private AI, you're literally telling it the name of the model. And I've experimented with quite a few different models, right? But you give it the name of the model that's available from Hugging Face and you fire it up. One of the most kind of weird, thing about how this whole thing works is when you're asking within code, when you're asking AI a question, within the code, you have to tell it how it's going to ask the AI question. what is it emulating? And right, it's easier just to say we're using Mistral. It doesn't mean we're actually using Mistral on the back end. It's just that we're using the Mistral framework to get stuff into and out of Quinn, right? So just wanted to show you guys that one little interesting thing. Along with that, there's a bunch of these different little random things that you got to set to make the stupid thing work. And well, here we are, right? Once you run an AI, you can actually just stop it and start it. It's just literally just as easy as clicking this. And the price keeps going down. So used to be $2 an hour, now it's $1.75. Hilarious. So that's why I keep saying, the more we do this, it's only going to get cheaper. It's only going to get faster. It's only going to get better. So one more thing. It takes time to start an AI. This is what the other thing I really wanted to show you guys. Starting an AI takes as long as 10 minutes. It's not instant. Even on the fastest hardware, I think it's about 5 minutes. All right. So it takes quite a while to start an AI. Once it's running, it runs pretty well. All right. But yeah, you can see still not even running. It's still booting up, the system over here. So wanted to show you guys that trying to manage the AI world gets interesting. Also, because the models change all the time, you have to get in here and sometimes you have to really tinker with it to get the model to run. And what I mean by that is there could be a bunch of different settings that you have to set that you end up having to read up on, even if you're using AI to help you read up on it, right? It gets to be a little interesting to get it to set right so that you can get the thing to run. When you guys do your tests, I'm going to make available one of the latest coding AIs. And the reason for that is it's actually really, really good. They've taken the Quinn framework and they've trained it a bit more to make it even more effective. So it's kind of cool. Let's see how our Manus is doing. Well, it's still thinking. This is the neat thing about Manus. It's doing more in just the 10 minutes while we've been sitting here, right? It's doing more in 10 minutes than most of us do. Actually, I think it's just about done. So it's got the whole how to do it right here, including test code. Yeah, just finished, right? It's got the entire middleware pretty much skeletoned out. So you could take this entire thing, drop it into root code, and you would already have the beginnings of the middleware. And this was all done in, 10 minutes? While we've been talking on something else. Incredible. All right, heading back to, yes. Now, the reason why I stuffed it into the AI ML world is you actually have to do quite a bit of manipulation of prompt engineering and to a degree run your own AI, right? Because not all AIs are equal. And for some of the stuff we're doing, private AI is going to be better than public AI, all right? And the reason for that is we're going to have some dedicated knowledge base that's not available to the general public, right? And so we're going to train the AI on that knowledge base, and then we're going to need a workflow that goes with it. So to show you guys what an N8N is, we can start with their public website. And that kind of gives you a very bad overview of what they do. They end up showing you, DevOps and sales, right? Where it's actually great for a lot of other things, all right? Not just that, right? But the thing is, it's open source on GitHub. Anybody can run it. Versus make.com, you can run make.com locally. It just doesn't work as well as it should. And it's kind of sad, actually, that it doesn't work as well as it should locally. Yes, they have some better agentic automation. I will agree with you. But again, give it another month. Maybe things will change, right? So we're using N8N because they have a ton of connections. There used to be, there still is, another thing called Zapier. And this is very similar to Zapier, but enhanced, but better. You can have your LibreChat, for example, with your agent in LibreChat, use something here, to get to Telegram and to go into a chat room and ask the question, get that answer back and to do something else, right? You can get your agent running in LibreChat to access a Google Sheet and send an email and to make a phone call and to get the information and to re-update your Google Sheet with the updated information once it comes in, either by email. It can receive email as well. That's simply another trigger, right? Once an email comes in, read the email, update the sheet, all right? And those are just the simple things, let alone the more complicated ones. So the creating of the workflow, it really is a at this level, a no code type of thing. I will say that you want to use, for example, some of the widgets that are here. You can actually use the OpenAI widget with your own AI, by the way. And so that's the thing is once something comes in, let's see, we want to message a model, for example, right? It'll say, well, how do you want to connect? Give it an API key. This is where you can change where it's pointing to, right? To your own private AI. And then you say, well, what are we doing? What kind of AI? Remember I was saying earlier, we could use something like Mistral. That would populate here once we connect to the AI, right? And then put in your whole prompt. There is a role, and this if I want to bring it up for an AI engineer, right? There's different types of roles, and I will say you can change how you prompt your AI, the original prompt, right, to the AI so that it responds more appropriately to what you're trying to do. And this is where you can get into that detail of, oh, well, for example, we want to get the message that we're going to be presenting through a phone call based on what the user has sent in from, like, for example, a contact us form, right? So evaluate this contact us form to generate an entire script that we're going to later send to, for example, 11 labs, right? So, and you go, okay, well, tell me more about how we're going to talk to 11 labs. Whoops. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. I was trying to go here. So there is 11 labs, right? Where there's a bunch of different voices. Convert text to speech, right? And then you can make a phone call, all automated. And this is with what I like to call low code. It's not fair to say that this is no code. You could also, and this is the reason why I'm bringing this up as engineering, there's a bunch of different webhooks, right? So you can have a webhook, inbound webhook, right, that accepts something, for example, a text message, that then goes out, that evaluates it, and then goes out and perhaps send another text, a response text back. Or, schedule a meeting or whatever you want. It's quite an open world and it's fascinating. The more I dig into this, the more it's going to, and keep in mind, this is this month, next month is going to be even more crazy. I want to bring up something about the data world. Most, don't take this the wrong way, but most programmers don't organize data properly. Now, today, with the beauty of AI, it will classify data properly, which is incredible. I would encourage you, when you're building your code, you want to start with the data layer. You want to tell it, this is all the information that I'm trying to organize and to maintain and to even potentially develop on later on. You want to tell it the current and future goals of your data, not just your current goals. So if you go, I just want to stuff data into, from a contact form into my, database just to get rid of it. Well, no, you want to explain what is that contact form. Oh, well, some of these could be future people that might log into the website. That's a different classification, you see? So you've gone from just collecting information that may be used only once forever to something that may be more of a permanent circumstance with your data, you see? And so by organizing your data properly from the beginning, you can avoid a lot of mistakes later on with your middle layer and with your user interface layer. All right? The data layer is most important. Now you go, well, the problem is I've got a website that works on, I don't know, MySQL. And I've got, Mario DB or whatever. And I've also got this other, website over here that, is all in Shopify, and we don't even know what their database looks like. And then we got this, meeting thing, and who knows how their stuff is. Oh yeah, we got stuff in Dropbox, and we got stuff in Microsoft SQL, and we've got stuff in everywhere, right? You will find, as I do, that every project has its own data storage method. All right. And I want to organize it like that. Data storage method. Right. And it's an absolute mess. All right. Most times. Because just like I said, one person's view of the data world, say like within a CRM, is different than another person's view of that same data world, say like Microsoft SQL. And so now you'll be asked, okay, well, tell me who all our customers are. And usually our answer back is, well, depending on which database, right? Because every database is different. That doesn't matter as much as it used to. Yes, you can do some of this with retrieval augmented generation, but I find either OneLake, which is somewhat costly, or Snowflake, which is a little bit less costly. You can organize all the data all into one place, and you can use it. All right. Remember that webhook thing that we were talking about before? You can use that to access even outbound, right? You can outbound that to Snowflake and say the very thing that just got asked. How many customers do we have? And it will answer. Or better, can you give me the entire customer database from all our databases, right? Aggregated all into one as one list with name, address, city, state, zip, phone, fax, email, telegram, whatever else, right? Just all as one list so I could do something with it. For example, make phone calls, send text emails, right? So it's a different world than it used to be. You don't have to worry, like I said, as much. So if you're a data engineer or if you're an AI engineer, well, your life just got easier. Or better, DevOps is a very hard world for us to deal with, all of us. We are looking for some good DevOps people. It's hard to describe DevOps, but one of my favorite descriptions is, well, it's kind of a combination between two different worlds, right? It's a combination of a developer and it's a combination of an engineer. It's those two people combined. That said, there's some good free courses out there that I would encourage if you're interested in DevOps, if you've already done DevOps, that's awesome, that's amazing, but I would encourage you guys to go through one of these courses, especially like this stuff, the AI generated, CI/CD, just to make life interesting, faster, all that stuff, all right? So the reason for combining AI with DevOps, like I said, it's the faster part. For example, one of the things that DevOps used to be asked to do is to make a bunch of test environments. You no longer need to individually spend one at a time, build 8 different test environments. Those days are gone, sorry to say. All right. You can now accelerate what I like to call AI in Jenkins, right? To quickly create all those different environments. All right. So there's one last piece, and then we'll open it up to questions here. At the end of all of this, I'm going to present all of these different links all in one thing. My fun part, or this fun part, uh, for some reason this got duplicated twice. There's an old joke in IT: don't ever run this command. It gets to be very bad. But there are now a variety of, and this is actually not the right link, but it's Sentry.io, but better actually is Sad AI, which makes IT engineering a little bit easier. One of the challenges that we have is we'll be like, okay, we built this amazing code. How do we get this amazing code to work at scale? And I do mean to scale up and to scale down, right? And so the cool thing is there's actually now a platform for that to autonomously manage, well, your entire environment, all right? To scale it up, to scale it down, to do whatever you need to do, all right? So it's a self-driving cloud. If you combine this with the other big ask that developers have, which is this Sentry, I find is one of the better ones anyway. It bolts in with anything, and it'll give you the entire profile of what's going on, and it'll give you a lot of feedback on how that code is working within the environment that it's in. Now, you can combine these two worlds, all right? You can use N8N to take the information from here and to go over to here and to go, okay, make sure stuff works correctly. Oh, by the way, if it's something that can't be just fixed with hardware, well, create a GitHub ticket and, oh, Grok, can you take a look at this GitHub ticket and figure out why it's not working? You see, so that's what I want to close with is it's not just how good you are with coding anymore. It's actually how well you can ask the questions. And asking the questions is more than just prompting it within ChatGPT or something. And I just stopped screen sharing, by the way. It's more than just, prompting. All right. Somebody fired up a fireflies. Hey, whoever you are, thank you. So you can use N8N, for example, to ask that question. Um, you can use N8N to automatically make phone calls and gather information for your sales process. All right. So today, I just wanted to do the overall introduction. Tomorrow, because I see some of the questions here, tomorrow we'll go into a little bit more detail about how to go through these different roles. I do want to touch upon um, what one person was saying. And by the way, if you haven't seen these slides, this whole thing was recorded. You can go back and watch the recording, right? Or like this one guy did, you can just have Fireflies go through it and give you the transcript. Bilal Khan just asked a very interesting question. Well, not really a question, but a statement that, um, he was part of a company that orchestrated using AI how they were going to do their work. I wouldn't argue that that's necessarily a bad thing. We all want to use the best intelligence available to do what we're doing. And if that best intelligence happens to be an AI, that's fine. All right. Because again, if you look at the bell curve, right, there's an old thing called the bell curve, and I'll link this after this presentation. But there's a whole thing called a bell curve where not everybody is at the top and not everybody is the bottom. You know, we're all kind of somewhere in that middle portion. 80% of us, right? 80% of all 8 billion people on the planet are all in that middle section of that bell curve for everything that we do. But if you want to compete and you want to be at the level of the smartest person on the planet, right? Then you have to use what's called democratized intelligence to be at that level. And that's the opportunity that we have today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a little bit more detail on the developer side. I will take you through step by step, you know, from the beginning to the end of setting up KiloCode, and beginning to the end of DevOps, beginning to the end of agents and so forth. And I will also open up at the end of tomorrow the chat interface for private AI. All right. So you will be able to interact with that private AI to do the various different tasks that we're talking about. I'm going to take a look at the, just real quickly here, the chat within WhatsApp. And the next time around on this course, I am going to use a different tool other than Teams. It turns out it's not so great. I'll find a different, better one. There's a lot of different tools that are listed here, all the different links, and in fact, this entire presentation I'll share on the chat. So yes, you guys will be able to see that along with the recording of this video. You can literally take this video and this entire training, send it through, and I'll even send you guys the link for this. You can send it through one of the transcription tools, then it'll transcribe it. And you can ask it to summarize, which is really awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining this presentation. I hope it's informative. This is only day 1. This is intended to be an intro. For day 2, we will continue to use Teams just for right now because it's all been set up. But tomorrow, but for the next one, the July one, I'm going to try to use a different, better one. Like I said, for tomorrow, I'm going to go into a little bit more, but not a whole lot more detail. If you Google some of the questions or ask GPT some of the questions, I think you'll find better answers. What I'm trying to guide you on, more than anything, what I hope you take away from this is how to ask the questions using these tools, right? Remember at the beginning, if you want better answers, ask better questions. I hope you guys have a way now to ask those better questions, not just in the chat interface, but using these tools. Thank you all. I'll be available for about an hour on the chat interface, WhatsApp or Discord. Thank you all for being here.